Hey guys, definitely not Seal here. Nope. Hello, definitely not Seal here. I'm recording this video. No. Got. Hey guys, definitely not Seal here, back with another video. And in this video, we're actually going to be covering something a little different. Normally my content's based around scripting, but I figured we'd cover stuff that's kind of all things making a Roblox game. So in this one, we're actually going to be covering advertisements. So once your Roblox game is finished, once you've made it, you've released it, you've probably ran into an issue where you don't really have players. And especially on the game type, some of them require a couple of players for people to even be able to play the game. Let's say it's a team-based game or something competitive, right? It requires multiple players to be playing for you to have anybody to be able to play the game. So one of the best ways that you can get traffic for your video game, or in other words, players, is through advertisements. So in this video, we're not just going to cover, how to make an ad, as in how to post one on the Roblox website. That's not too hard to figure out. What I actually want to show you guys is how advertisements really work. This includes the theory behind them, how to get people to your experience, and also the best type of ad to create. So we're gonna cover some different types of Roblox ads and how to use them, and then some basic marketing principles. So let's start with our first one, and that's sponsored experiences. So have you ever been browsing the Roblox website and you see one of those like games that it shows up in like the popular category. You've never heard of it before, and you see right under the name it's got this little sponsored tag. So that's a sponsored experience. Pretty much people pay to have their game show up on the front page. Now, it's usually in a category dedicated to just sponsored games, but that's kind of how it works. Which, I mean, it's a great way to get your game out there and to show it to people. And so, sponsored experiences also show up when people search for Roblox games. It'll sometimes put yours in there too, the little sponsored tag. Now, sponsored experiences are kind of complicated on the way they work. They work on a bidding system. So you don't necessarily pay to have your ad show up. You pay to have a chance for your ad to show up. And I know this sounds terrible, but that's how advertising works. What you do is it's a bidding system. You set the amount of Robux you're willing to pay per day. And what the system does is it takes your sponsored experience and then compares it to everyone else who's paying to have their experience sponsored as well. It compares how much each of you are willing to pay per day, and then the higher your daily amount, it's basically going to boost your experience over other people's. That's going to show, it's basically going to be higher up on the list. So it is a very expensive form of advertising. But like I said, this is a great way to get people to play your game. Most people don't search for games. Most people don't pay attention to the ads around them when they're on Roblox. They're just browsing the front page. And your sponsored experience, if you manage to outbid everybody else, it's going to show up on the front page. So it is a very good way to get traffic. So to create a sponsored experience, first you're going to head to your creator dashboard. In the left-hand navigation, select Sponsored Ads. Then the Sponsored Ads page is going to display. In the top right corner, you're going to click the Create Sponsored Ad button. The Sponsored Experience Ad Creation page is going to show. And then you're going to click the top drop-down menu and select the experience that you want to sponsor. In the Audience, Schedule, and Daily Budget sections, you can choose who can see your experience and how long you want your experience to run, as well as the Robux you're willing to spend per day. Then in the Ad Name section, You're going to enter a descriptive name for your sponsored experience. This is only visible to you, so don't worry about getting too crazy with it. Then you can click the Preview Your Ad button, and a new page with a preview of your sponsored experience and a sponsorship summary is going to display. And so once you've gone over all of that, you've got all of this set up, you're going to click the Run button, and that's going to run your sponsored experience. Okay, so that's it for sponsored experiences. What about banner ads? So banner ads are more traditional ads, right? So they're actual like image ads you see on the side of the website, the top bar in your profile, right? So these are ads that are shown to you while you're browsing Roblox. So banner ads use the same bidding system that sponsored ads use, or sponsored experiences use. So they're very similar, and the setup is the same. You'll just select banner ads instead of sponsored experience. Now, the one big thing with banner ads is you're required to give them a thumbnail. You actually have to draw an advertisement. And so it's very different than sponsored experiences, because sponsored experiences, you're just hoping that people are going to see your experience, your thumbnail is going to be good, and your title of your game is going to be good, that it's going to entice people to play your game. With a banner ad, though, you actually have a lot more control over how you get people to play your game, because you can make an interesting advertisement. There's a lot of different tactics people use. I've seen a couple, some big ones, some popular ones that people do. There's the one cringe one where it's like, I spent all my birthday money on this advertisement. Please join my group. I'm sure everybody's seen that ad. But there's also ones where it's like, before playing they're a noob, after playing your game they're a pro. These are just different. So and so played my game. You should play it too. You can kind of design an ad that you think would work for your game, and we're going to cover that in the conclusion of this video. Some like tips and pointers on actually drawing an advertisement. But it's just a very different way versus sponsored experiences. So there's some advantages and disadvantages to both. They're both expensive, so be warned. But it's all about kind of checking out your options and figuring out what would work best for your experience. Okay, so you've put your ads out. Now it's time to analyze the data. So let's cover what you need to do to analyze the data for your Roblox ads. So it is really important to understand the data that you have and what it means, because that's going to tell you how to get people to play your game. Now, there's a couple of metrics or data points for experiences. We're going to cover those. And so the metrics are conversion rate, impressions, CTR, CTP, and CPP. So conversion rate ties in with impressions. We're actually going to start with impressions first. Impressions is how many people have seen your ad. So if your ad shows up in my Roblox profile and I look at it, that's an impression. So that's basically how many people have seen your ad. Conversion rate is the percentage of people who have seen your ad that actually clicked it. So it's the amount of attributed visits divided by impressions. So if you have 100 impressions, right, 100 people have seen your ad, 10 people actually clicked it, that means you have a 10% conversion rate. So then we have CTR, right? So that's the click-through rate. It's the same as the conversion rate, pretty much. Then we have CPC, that's cost per click. That's how much Robux you've spent on each click. Basically, when your ad's done, the amount of clicks that you've gotten, that's how much it costs. Let's say I put 100 Robux down, and I got 4 people to click my ad. That means I paid 25 Robux per click. So that's just a metric based on how many clicks you get. And then we lastly have CPP, which is cost per play, which is even more important, right, than cost per click. That's just not how many people clicked your ad. That's how many people actually played your game from clicking your ad. And so cost per play is basically how much you spent for the traffic that you got. So those are the metrics and the data. That's how you can read them. And that brings us into our conclusion, which is some pointers on making advertisements. So making ads really requires you to test the waters and to change your approach based on the data you receive. Let me give an example. Let's say I'm running a banner ad and I get pretty low impressions, right? Not many people actually saw my game. Well, that tells me that I need to change some things up. Maybe that's when you want to look at doing a sponsored experience to see if you fare better. Let's say I run a banner ad and I get a lot of impressions. Let's say I get 15,000 impressions, but I have a 1% conversion rate. So that means 10,000 people, 15,000 people have seen my ad, and like almost nobody's actually clicked it. What does that mean? That means that your ad isn't good. The actual image, it isn't catching, it isn't getting people to click. That's when you'd go through and redraw your ad or look at a sponsored experience. And so basically, those are some things you can do, right? Let's say with a banner ad again, it needs to be based on your game. So if you're advertising a certain game, you want to display some kind of gameplay. And then you need basically what's called a hook, something that's going to hook people in and get them to click it. Maybe it's a really funny image that catches people's attention. Some people have been doing for like their game thumbnails, right? The like big chin noob. It's like funny but almost kind of disturbing, so you stare at it. And then people start to get intrigued and they'll actually click your ad and play your game just to see what it's about. So doing like kind of off weird images is a really good way to get clicks. It's a hook, right? Let's say you do the noob and the pro stuff, right? You can test the waters and see if they work. If they don't work, try something else. Usually you want to give it a week or so before you say it does or doesn't work. But ultimately it's just trying to figure out how to get people. And here's a good tip you can do. Don't put a lot of Robux down. Keep it cheap. And the reason you do this is you're not wanting to base your success off of impressions. You're wanting to base your success off of your conversion rate. Let's say I have an ad that gets 100,000 people to view it, and I get 1,000 players from that. That's not a very good success. I certainly wouldn't call that a success. That's a 1% conversion rate. You spent a lot of Robux on that ad. It doesn't matter how many impressions it gets, how many people see it. It matters how many people actually click it. In fact, I would actually consider an ad that only got 100 impressions, but 30% conversion rate, far more successful than that 100,000 impression ad. If I have an ad that gets 100 views and 30 people click it, that's a really successful ad. 10% is usually a pretty good spot to be at with conversion rate. That's pretty average. So if you can get above a 10% conversion rate, your Robux is being well spent, and you're getting a lot of players for that traffic. That's good traffic. So keep it cheap, try to get a high conversion rate, and once you've got an ad that actually gets a above 10% conversion rate, then it's time to start putting more Robux down and getting it in front of more people. Because now that you know it's successful, people are actually clicking. You don't have to pay a lot of Robux to get a lot of conversions for it. One last thing, right? We have cost per click, but also cost per play. Let's say we have a really high conversion rate, but our cost per play is super high, right? Not many people are actually playing our game. What does that mean? That means our description for our game isn't good, or the thumbnails for our game isn't good, or the name isn't good. It's something on our actual game page that's stopping people from playing because they're clicking the ad, right? We have a high conversion rate, but our cost per play is expensive. So that means not many people are actually playing the game once they've clicked the ad. So these are some cool tips. There's one more form of advertising, and that's immersive ads on Roblox, which if you want to learn more about that, I have a link in the description that goes to an article I wrote that actually covers in detail immersive ads and how you can use them. Also, how you can make money off of them, because you could put those in your game too and get paid for them, which is super cool. But advertising is one of the best ways to get traffic to your game. It is expensive, but it's worth it if you're running a commercial product like a video game. So take these tips in mind, like and subscribe if you guys like the content. Thank you guys, and have a good rest of your day.